Hello YouTube! Welcome to this channel. I am here today to talk to you about my ninth age homebrew fantasy campaign. It was put together by my brother and we've been playing it with some friends. We're already up to turn 6. I'm just going to be scrolling through the turn orders here. If you are new and you have not first seen some of my other videos, to get an understanding of this campaign, you should first watch the ninth age homebrew campaign overview. And then watching for turns 1 through 5 would also be really good because we were already up to turn 6, okay? So here we are, turn 6. There was a battle on turn 5 that I played. I'm unsure if I'm going to do a full battle report on that or not, like I did for my battle on turn 4. I don't have a lot of pictures for that one either. So just let me know if you want to know more details about that battle. I can make something in depth. It just takes me a little bit more time to do. So here we are on turn 6. I'm going to go through the random events, then I'm going to go through the turn orders, and then we're going to look at the map, see what this looks like, because often it's hard to actually make sense of the moves without looking at the map. So it's just fun to read what the army names are. So here we are. All right, we're going to go through turn 6. Random events. These happened right before Christmas in 2019. So random events. We got the Beast Herds of Kazrak. They got Glorious Tidings, extra training. Add +1 offense skill and +1 defensive skill to any one core unit in any banner. So that's just for that Beast Herds faction. That sounds really cool. That's really interesting. Core unit. I don't know. I don't remember that much about the Beast Herd core units. I don't think they're super spectacular, but that just made your Longhorn or Wildhorn herd. I believe they're 3/3. They probably could bump them up to 4/4 or something. So anyway, very cool. Next, another Beast Herds. Local traders pass through camp. The player chooses which 2 units are affected by this. And we've seen this before. They do not have to be in the same banner. The unit gets to add an additional weapon. So this happens actually to 2 units in the banner. Bows, crossbows, throwing weapons, spear, paired weapons, lance, halberd, or great weapon. So you can do this to any 2 units in any of the banners from this faction. So this is real interesting. Again, we've seen this before. I mean, think about, our Minotaurs base strength 5. Would you give a monitor unit throwing weapons so that they're strength 5? You can just do stuff like that, which is it kind of some people might say it kind of breaks the game, but really it's just 2 units being affected by it within a banner. So it just provides extra challenges for armies when they're fighting on the actual battlefield, but we haven't had that many battles, so it's hard to say how much this actually will change the balance of anything. But anyway, I don't know. What would you do? I'd probably give bows to like ambushing. Well, people usually give throwing weapons to the ambushers anyway in beast herds. So, like I said, I'd probably give throwing weapons to minotaurs just to give them that extra kick. Although typically, if they're within 8 inches of someone, they're charging. So I don't know when they're going to use their throwing weapons, but I don't know. Whatever. Without the book in front of me, I can't really choose. Dread Elves Cult. Your scouts don't do a good job of discovering what the enemy forces are doing. Add 1 to all competitive scouting rules this turn. So that comes into play if they fight a battle. That's when you make a competitive scouting rule, and it means they're actually going to have basically a negative. It's going to be worse for them in tactical. So interesting. Vampire Covenant. 2 random banners are confused again. Uh, by the orders you give them, and we'll use their next turn to move to 1 randomly determined adjacent territory. This happened last turn, I think, for them too. So Vampire Covenant is just not having a fun time. Not having a fun time. See, if you were at Vampire Covenant, you wouldn't be able to do anything. So anyway, all right. Next factions. The banners are determined after you submit the orders. Oh, that looks like that should have been here. Okay. Next faction is Lord Itzalek's Alliance of Desperation. He's got the Knights of Enquitaine. Some traders from far away arrive with exotic goods. Okay, this is also the same thing, but this is a little different. This we haven't really seen. This actually caused a little bit of a fuss within the group. So let's read through this. So we've seen it often when 2 units get additional weapons, right? Well, this is exotic goods. Unit does not change in point cost, but you can't add additional models. So that's always the caveat with this. You could get to add a unique weapon to a unit, or in this case, it's actually going to be a unique piece of armor to that unit, but you can't add an additional model. So whatever model count you're at, it's capped. You can't add anything to it because they got this special weapon or armor added to them. So here we are. They can either take Kraken's hide, which can be combined with other armor. You can take Lion's fur. So I think all these are things that can kind of be combined with other armors. Kraken's hide, Lion's fur, plate mail, round shield, or spiked shield. We had a lot of discussion about this within the group. People were concerned. One player in particular was concerned that having. He actually thought it was overpowered to have light troops. He thought it was overpowered to have light troops, I think, lose the light troops rule if you gave them like heavy armor. So like if you like with if I have I play Sylvan Elves, so if you gave Sylvan Elves fast cavalry, if you gave them heavy armor, they'd be super armored. Or maybe this was what we put in after the fact. Like he was really concerned about it, and we went back and forth. My brother, who's running this, is the one who made the final determination. I think this wasn't originally in there, but I'm not sure. I remember the player that was causing the fuss. He was concerned. He actually initially the rule I think was that you could give like plate armor to fast cav, and they would still have all their abilities. Well, I'm not sure about that. That doesn't quite. Anyway, we were discussing it because we thought that would be too overpowered. So we or I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I can't remember the details because this happened way back in December, and I have so many texts from my brother, I wouldn't be able to. It would take me forever to go back and look. But anyway, we had this discussion about this rule. Eventually, it came down to I was because I play more than the rest of the group. I told my brother that you would never give these armor pieces to a rule with light troops because the ability to move the way light troops move in the game is too powerful. I said that it was more beneficial to have mobility than have the extra armor. So this was why we kept this rule. But the other player um didn't like this. I think it would be too overpowered if you kept it the other way. Yeah, the other I think the player wanted it he wanted it to be that you could have fast cav or light troops that had heavy armor or plate armor as it says. I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen. You can't see me. So, um, and he listed out a series of historical precedents for having units with plate armor that were also like fast and whatnot. But anyway, we overruled it. Um, we said no. So this is what the wool is. Anyway, so this is for Kingdom of Ecutane. This is their random event for this turn 6. Just thinking through the Kingdom of Equitane, who might take advantage of this. I'd have to look things up. If you bear with me 1 minute. I don't know what round shield is. I think that's an Asklander rule. But I play elves, so I have the elf book somewhere. Here we go. Elf book. So let's take a look at this because I was like speculating. So we got Kraken's Hide. That's a Dread Elves rule. I know that much. Kraken's Hide. Where is this? Kraken's Hide. If mounted, the wearer gains +1 armor. If on foot, the wearer gains +2 armor. So, oh my word. Well, I know my brother, he does not play with foot troops, but I do. If I had this and I had a unit of Forlorns, I would give Kraken Hide to them. They have heavy armor and a shield, so they already have armor 3. With this, they'd have armor 5. They would literally have a 2-up armor save. So that's what I would do. I don't even need to look at the other options. I just know that's the best option if I had Forlorns. Yeah. But let's look at Lion's Fur. I know that gives him extra armor against shooting. Lion's Fur. If on foot, the wearer gains +1 armor, which is improved to a +2 armor against shooting attacks. So I don't know why you would ever take Lion's fur over Kraken's hide. It just seems like Kraken's hide is better in all scenarios. Spiked shield is interesting for knight units or for peasants. I would give spiked shields to peasants, probably. All right, let's move on to orcs and goblins. Some traders arrive in camp. The player chooses which 2 units are affected by this. Again, this is a little different though. This is the unit does not change in point cost, but they may either take heavy armor or light armor and a shield. So I don't know that much about orcs and goblins. I feel like goblins can already take light armor and a shield. I don't think you can give heavy armor to goblins, so you could take some goblin hordes with heavy armor, and then they already have a shield. So that would make some really tanky goblins. But otherwise, I don't know where you would really use this. So, alright. Saurian Ancients. The one random banner is confused by the orders you give them, and it holds instead this next campaign turn while waiting for your clarification. Alright. So one of their banners has to hold instead of moving. Warriors of the Dark Gods. What was the plan? Any banners more than 3 spaces away from an HQ must issue a hold this turn. See, I didn't really read these in depth. I'm noticing now as I go back and read them, some of these things I didn't read in depth. I just scroll to my faction and I read my faction and I don't really read the rest. So I didn't realize this. So they all had the hold. That's funny. All right, now my confederation. Soonest quintum virit. Dwarven holds. Skilled artisan arrives and the camp is agog at all the pretty sculptures. This doesn't affect your faction in any way. Okay. Nothing, at least nothing bad happened with my Dwarven holds. Empire of Sonstal. All banners have a negative 2 to difficult terrain test. If no test is needed, then the banners are immune to this result. If you remember from turn 5, I basically I lost banner 2 because I didn't have enough spaces to support it. So I only have 1 banner and I have like 3 raised spaces. And so obviously all I'm doing is trying to recover our space. So I'm obviously not going to make a difficult terrain test, so this doesn't affect me this turn. All right, Sylvan Elves, confusing orders. Your orders are scrambled between your messengers. After you submit your orders, randomize which banners get which orders. So actually when I got this, I basically tried to cheat the system. I was trying to figure out, I kept asking my brother, like, how does he actually randomize? How does the randomization happen? And so I actually issued orders that I thought I could cheat the system and figure out. I thought since I knew I had 2 banners and I knew the other banner would get those orders, I tried to issue orders that would make my banner still move where I want them to move. But it backfired on me because I think I still don't really clearly understand how they're randomized, and so it's just best not to try to cheat the system and just let the random events happen and let the randomness happen and not try to work around it. Is basically what I found out from this. So there we are. The randomness is randomized, and I try to foil it. But Undying Dynasty Cameras is the same thing that happened to Sonstal. All banners have negative 2 difficult terrain test. Blah blah blah. Next we have the Confederation that must not be named. Dwarven holds. 2 random banners are confused by the orders you give them and will use their next turn to move to 1 randomly determined adjacent territory. So this is also, so there's a lot of random movement happening on this turn. Another Dwarven holds from the same guy. Mercenary forces encamped locally in South 13, and it may or may not be friendly. Ooh. You roll a d6. On a 1 to 2, the territory the banner is in is raised. On a 3 to 4, no effect. On a 5 to 6, the banner gains 3d6 times 100 points, and the banner list may be changed. The mercenaries were friendly and 1,300 points. That means he got a 13 on 3d6. That's pretty good. Are added to this banner. So wow, this Dwarven Holds banner just increased by 1,300 points. That's huge. That's ginormous. That's like the biggest we've seen. I've seen 1,100. This is the biggest I've seen in a random event. That's amazing. Look at that. Especially when our armies start, they only start with 3,250. So you just get 1,300. Your army is, I mean, that's like 250% increase. I did the math right in my head just now. All right, Dwarven Hold, so far no events to report. And then the Highborn Elves. The lone Highborn Elves on the map. A wayward merchant caravan is passing through your lands and is moderately guarded. The player may choose to attack it with banner 2. The banner must hold and gains 2d6 times 40 points, and the list may be changed. So basically, there's some sort of a caravan passing through the space that his banner is already in, so the banner can't move if it chooses to attack it. So it spends its turn attacking the caravan, and if you do that, you already know the amount you're gonna get. You're gonna get 2d6 times 40. So it's still a random amount of points you get to add to that banner, but you roughly know how much. Or you can do nothing, in which case you can still move, or you can guide it to safety, which means you have to randomly move to one random adjacent friendly territory, and one of the common magic items in the Lands of the Ninth Age Terrain supplement book. Oh, that's right. We are using some extra things from the supplements. Maybe used freely in the player's banners now when creating new army lists. So I actually went and took a look at this supplement. It's got some interesting items. I don't remember them off the top of my head because I only looked at them one time, but I was because I think I did read this random event at that time, and I went and looked at the book, and there's some interesting items. So I don't know if other players out in the world in their normal battles are using these supplement rules. Probably not, but they've been integrated into the campaign, so they are available at certain times. It's not always available. So um, I don't know what he did. We'll have to keep an eye out for Banner 2 when we go through the turn orders and see what he did. This is kind of like almost a choose your own adventure. He actually gets a choice um, from the random event. So that's why you always do random events first at the beginning of the turn, and then you do the turn orders because your turn orders can change based on what random event was given to you. All right, and then Ogre Cons, your camp butcher's advice is a mistake to rampage so close to the Old One's headquarters. So this is his banner that's near the Saurian ancient headquarters. As if foretelling the future, your most recent conquest suffers from a drought and is not fertile to support your banners at this time. One randomly determined non-special map section is raised. Oh man. Well, that's rough. So they had one of their spaces raised. That's all. Another Orgrimmon. Campaigning weather. One banner may attempt a forced march by ruling on the forced march table, in the same manner as greenskins do. In the orders list both spaces the banners attempting to move into. So this is, I think, the first we've seen it. This is actually going to come up in a few later turns. So they get to make a forced march. If they want to, they can attempt it. So that's interesting. Undying Dynasties, Gold Dynasty, Skilled Trainer, one unit gains fight an extra rank. We saw this before. If the unit already has this rule, add one to its value. So I mean, uh, yeah, if you had a big block of like the Acropolis Guard, just put that on there, or give this to Chariots, a Chariot Horde, which you can't really do anymore. I'm disappointed. They actually, this is an aside. This is an aside from outside the campaign, but they changed Undying Dynasties to a max unit size of 7. The Chariots used to be a max unit size of 10, and I bought a movement tray that could hold 12 Chariots because my plan was to take a unit of 10 and then put 2 characters in there, so I'd have a unit of 12 Chariots. I was going to go 3 wide and 4 deep, so I'd actually have enough ranks that I could break steadfast and like just charge into any unit in the game because I'd have 3 ranks, and after that many Chariots charge into a unit, they shouldn't have enough left to have ranks and still be steadfast. But so that was my plan, but it's been foiled by the developers, which makes me a little upset. Uh, but anyway, that's what I would have done, but now that's not possible. So, Undying Dynasties, an overlooked cemetery of fresh graves provides new bodies to be raised. One banner may add 400 points of core to the list, but the list might not be changed. So that's good. He got 400 extra points of core, which is a fair amount of skeletons. All right, let's take a look at the turn order. So what did people do after receiving these random events? The Beast Herds, Kargur's Rampage. They march from South 42 to South 53, and they join in the grand battle at North 60 Malco, allying with Zulfbar. Okay, so this was kind of a surprise alliance. I think this should have actually happened prior, but basically they moved in, and then they allied with this dwarf faction that we're going to see is attacking the Saurian Ancients at Malco. So a grand battle. Let me break this down because this is the first grand battle we've had. So in a grand battle, the grand battle happens when you have two different players allied together, or at least some of their factions allied together. Okay, so this just means this beast herd faction is now allied with this dwarf faction. That's all this means. But now, both banners can fully participate in the battle. So basically, it's 2-to-1 scenario. Um, Now Malco, however, there's special rules for Malco. It's treated like a headquarters battle, and headquarters battles are different from other battles. In brief, in summary, the way a headquarters battle works and the way a Malco battle works, I believe, is that the only way to win a headquarters battle is the defender, whoever's it's their headquarters. They place a hill terrain piece in their deployment zone. That hill has to be taken by the enemy to win the battle. So you don't actually count up points or anything. As long as there's still one of your units holding that hill, you will win the battle. So it doesn't matter what the odds are, if it's 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 against you. If you just have a really super strong mega unit, Death Star unit holding your hill, you will not lose your headquarters. That's basically the way the headquarters work. So we've actually seen a lot of people have added additional points to their headquarters through random events. On top of that, you just have to hold the hill. And I think Malco works the same way. Or I know my brother, he actually bought a fort. So we have an actual fort building, like an old like palisade fort. And I think it works pretty similar to that. Like you have to kill all of the units inside of the fort to win. As long as there's one unit inside there, you don't win Malco. So Malco and headquarters are really hard to take. So even though it's 2-to-1, I don't know how this turned out. I don't actually know if they played it because it was going to take a long time. So I'm not sure if they've actually played this yet. All right. Troglor site marches. We'll take a look at what that means. And banner through 3 also marches. I'm just going to read those because the hexes don't really mean anything unless it's a special hex. Vargo's Destruction marches. This is for the Beast Herds as well. Elk Killers Marauders march. And Banner 3 marches as well. The Dread Elves Cult of Pleasure, Helma's Vanguard marches. Villains Rush. Remember, this is the one that's been holding that castle near my Empire headquarters. They hold again, and they gain 440 points from holding it. Though, when you hold at that castle, it's also a random amount that you get. I forget the exact number. It's something like 2d6 times 60 or something. So we got 440 points. And Banner 3 also marches. And then Vampire Covenant, if you remember from the random events, they just make random moves that get confused. So Von Fulbermeer is confused, and he marches, and he's successful. So he must have marched into a mountains because he had to make a difficult terrain test, so he marched into some sort of mountain space. And Malefor is confused and attempts to march into the mountains, but he failed, and so he held instead. So this is the same banner that this was confused last turn. He tried to move into mountains, and he failed, so he held at headquarters. So now his second banner for Vampire Counts is still at his headquarters, and he keeps trying to move them into the mountains and take more spaces, but he keeps failing his random events rules, or his difficult terrain rules. And so instead, he keeps holding at the headquarters, which is not a bad thing. He's now gained 500 points in 2 turns to that banner. All right, Knights of Aquitaine. Sir Ghislaine's Expeditionary Force holds. I believe they took a special place called Aldium, so that's why he's holding there, and he gains 300 points. Sir Theri de Lou's Lost Quest marches. They tried to obviously move into a mountain hex because he failed, and so he had to hold instead. Sir Alec de Chateau Iroch Beast Hunters marches. And Sir Gaston's Giant Slayers also march. Orcs and Goblins. Karag's Plunderers attempt to force march. They fail, and they tire. So they've actually moved. This has been the banner that, ever since turn 1, has been holding Sacred Lake. They actually move out of Sacred Lake. So they're doing other things now. I don't know how big that banner is. I don't really want to find out. Krugerim Stalkers try to recover. This is the old Hag's Hut space. Krugerim Stalkers won it in a battle from me, and now he's trying to recover it. But he failed. And remember, if you hold the old Hag's Hut space and you try to recover it, but you fail, one of your other spaces becomes raised. And he failed, so he got another space raised. Ghouls, Throat Slitters, marches. Alright, Saurian Ancients. Lord Zuan, the first spawning, holds and they gain points. The fort is attacked by Banner 1. All right. So this is Malco. They hold and they gain 500 points. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but when you hold and you gain points, or when you raise and you gain points, if you have a battle that happens on the same turn, you don't get those points before the battle. The there's kind of like a an order to the way things are applied in the turn. You do random events, you issue your turn orders, then you resolve the turn orders by moving things, you fight battles, and then at the end of the turn, there's an end of the turn sequence. That's when you actually get to add those points. So until Malco has been fought, he doesn't get those 500 points. Even if he loses, though, he'll still get those 500 points. I think. I'm pretty sure. All right. And he's got a second banner, Lord Ulxthul, and the second spawning. They're confused by orders and they hold. Now, Ragora, Ravager of Men, they can't remember if anything that's more than 3 spaces away from their headquarters can't move this turn, so they don't receive orders. They hold because they're too far away. Wolf Forgers, they march, and Zenderith, this is a new banner for him, the Raider, attempts to march and they fail. He started at this headquarters, and so he's trying to move into mountains, but he failed as well. No one is making their difficult terrain tests. Oh, excuse me. Von Fobemir of Vampire Counts, his first banner did make his difficult terrain test, but everyone else seems to be failing their difficult terrain test. And I think it's just a ruling of 4 or higher. So they have a 50% chance of doing it, but people keep failing. All right. Now my dwarves. 3 Wallbreakers Regiment of the Hold moves. Finky them Wise's Mining Cores moves. Gromdrel's Hammer Legion moves, and then I have a banner with the Jeff's Banner of Jackals and Death. In short, the banner resulted in a minor victory for Gromdrel, but Jeff ended up with control over the forts. So maybe I'll do a banner report on this too. So I'm just going to move on because I actually remember a lot about this battle. So let's move on. I think there's only like 2 or 3 pictures for that too, but I'm going to move on rather than going into details. My Empire, Sister Livian's Defenders, they tried to recover, but they failed. I rolled a 2. So people keep failing, recovering as well. Blue Haze Forest Band, move. And I have another battle with Feral Testament. It's real funny. The guy who plays, this is the same guy. So I fought him on the Grail Chapel. This is the same banner that fought him. It's the same 2 armies. They meet again. And I massacred Feral Testament again. This battle was actually a lot bloodier, and I lost a lot more, but I still pulled it out. But this was real rough. I actually fought this in the same day because this is the same guy that owns the Banner of Jackals and Death. So we fought 2 battles in the same day, which was like the first time either one of us had fought 2 battles in the same day, but we did it. Because I live an hour and a half away, so I drove over there and we fought him. And then my second banner also marches. Then my Dying Dynasties. This is where I start to get a little bit interesting. Matamuna's Cursed Legion. I actually make a fortify. I'll go into this when we talk about the map. Tetfet's Guardians of Light move. Pharaoh Ramsey's Lost Brigade marches. And Architect Ghazi's Marauders holds at the headquarters. I gain 250 points. This list is real interesting, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's actually a split list. There's at least 2 factions in there. There might be 3. And I created the list specifically to fight against the Highborn Elves. So when we go into the map, I'll talk more about that. Dwarven Holds, Banner 1 is confused, and they march, but they were successful. Banner 2 is confused, and they also march. Dwarven Holds, Banner 1 marches, Banner 2 marches, and they attack the headquarters of the Bloody Hand Ogre Kingdom. So this is the dwarf player attacked the ogre guy, and I think this is the banner that got to add 1,300 points to it. Oh no! It was Zufbar that I think got to add 1,300 points to it. So we actually have a lot of battles this turn. I fought 2 battles. There was a grand battle that took place in Malco, and then the guy who had the dwarfs in the Malco battle also attacked. He had a different dwarf faction attack the headquarters of the ogre kingdoms, and he massacred the ogres. I did hear a few details. My scouts reported a few details from this battle, and um, I fought the ogre guy before this happened, and as I said, and so Oh, I actually helped him a little plan for the headquarters battle, but I don't think he listened to my advice. So anyway, like I said, all you have to do in a headquarters battle is hold the hill. Well, the dwarf player brought a lot of artillery and was just shooting the ogre's guy, and the ogre guy thought he needed to go and attack the dwarf player. And we had told him, just keep your troops on the hill or behind the hill and make the dwarf player to come to you. And he didn't listen to us. So he went after the dwarf player. And of course, if you try to charge a dwarf gun line, you're going to get massacred. And that's what happened. So he lost his headquarters. Dwarven holds. I think he lost the headquarters. I'm actually not positive because that would mean the dwarf player had to move a unit and take the hill. I'm not sure. So we'll look at the map and see. Dwarven holds. This is the one that's attacking Malco, and the banner 2 from that dwarf faction marches. Highborn Elves. Okay, this is the one that, remember, banner 2 had a choice. So banner 1 marches and banner 2 marches. I guess he ignored the caravan and he wanted to keep marching north. So that's what happened. Ogre Khan. Skozug's Flesh Devourers march and Big Gore's Iron Poopers march. Now these, oh yeah, and then the second Ogre faction, Bloody Hand, headquarters is attacked, they're massacred. Okay, they did lose their headquarters. So that's really a downer for this ogre guy. So he fought 3 battles this turn. Well, he fought 2 battles and a headquarters battle, and he lost one of his headquarters. So it was real rough. He yeah. So I fought the I think I fought the. I'm trying to remember. When I fought against him, I actually played the. We did the dwarf battle first, and he actually ended up basically winning the dwarf battle. Barely. But that was a real encouragement boost. I could tell with his demeanor, because as if you remember, earlier in this game, I think on turn 4, with the Grail Chapel, I massacred him there. The next turn, his banner was attacked by the Warriors of the Dark Gods. It got massacred again. Now it faced my Wood Elves, and I massacred it again. But I massacred him. This is the 3rd massacre for him. But this happened after the dwarf battle. He actually won the dwarf battle, and that was encouraging for him. We felt bad for him because we keep massacring his armies. This poor player. And so it was actually good that he won. So Feral Testamen's first division marches, right? And they had a battle with my forest band, and they're massacred. Prince Sekhmet's second division marches. All right, then we just banded up jackals. They march. They had a battle with the Gromdrill's Hammer Legion, which is my dwarves. The battle resulted in a minor victory for me, for Gromdrill, but Jeff ended up with control of the forts. I'll go more into why that happened when we actually, I'll do a battle report. It's kind of interesting. Dendera's Asps marched from North 96, and banner 3 marches as well. All right, and that's it for the turn orders for turn 6. Let's take a look at the map and how this is broken down. Here is a wide shot on it. Let me zoom in. All right, up here you can see the Kingdom of Equitaine banner that failed its difficult terrain test, so it just held in the mountain space. It's kind of stuck there. Let's go across the map. Beast herds, they came down to the mountains, and you can see they are now they allied with this dwarf faction. The dwarf faction had to move into Malco to attack it, but then when you have participating in a grand battle, this banner does not move into it. It just, as long as it's next to Malco, it can support. Although maybe it was this one. He's got 2 banners next to it. I'm not sure. I think it was actually this one that's supporting it. Let's go back and see, because I want to know who it was. It was, okay, it was Kazrak. Okay, so it was this yellow Beast Herds player who's on the road. This is the one that's supporting Malco. This one outside of it in the woods is not allied, and it's not participating in the grand battle. It could have. I think he had to choose. You can't have 2 armies from one player in the battle. So that's probably why he didn't. Okay, here's Knights of Equitaine holding Albion still. Here's the Ogre Khans. They lost this space. It's raised now. So now Saurian Ancients, they hold Malco and they have their headquarters, but they don't have a whole lot else. They're just barely holding on to enough spaces so that the second banner can still function. A lot of raising going on. I don't know if this bridge was raised on purpose or not, but it's raised. Yeah. All right. No one's really messing with this beast herd faction. They're just marching across. Um, until now, this Libraris Undying Dynasty has been able to move freely, but we actually met in a battle here along the river. So the location of the battle along the river, it had an effect on how you played the battle. So that's what happened there. And as you can see, I have Finky the Wise's banner actually was able to support Gromdrel's Legion. So that happened. Here's my first banner. I actually took the bridge, and you'll see what I do with that. Let's see, anything else interesting going on? This is where I face, this is my Sylvaneth banner. Luhei's Forest Band is fighting Feral Testament again. So I faced him in Grail Chapel. I moved to the road. He retreated, and then he moved to here. He was killed by, um, he was killed by Warriors of Chaos, Warriors of Dark Gods, excuse me. He retreated, then he moves here, and then my Sylvanels move here, and we fight again. So this banner is just it's getting kicked all over the place. My second banner occupies Grail Chapel now, but I'm just moving through it. I'm not really sure how to take the woods. I'm doing a really bad job of controlling the woods. Orcs and goblins are really controlling this forest where my Sylvaneth headquarters is. So here's all these race spaces down around the old hag's hut. Dread Elves not really doing too much. Here's the headquarters that the dwarves took away from OgreCon, so now this headquarters belongs to the dwarves. Which now means, so let's see, if we count the spaces, 1, 2, 3, that doesn't count, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they have 7 spaces. You're always guaranteed, well, you're not always guaranteed a banner. Well, you're always guaranteed one, but for this example, he really should only have 2 banners, so he probably lost this third banner because he only has 7 spaces. You can only support, you need 3 spaces for each banner, so he can only support 2 banners at this time. He could found a new headquarters, but the way to do that, I think you need something like, I think you need at least 4,500 points because I think when you found a new headquarters, you lose 1,500 points from your banner, and if your banner goes below 3,000, it's scattered. So basically, you need at least 4,500 points, probably just over, to found a headquarters. I don't know if any of his banners have 4,500 points. Technically, one of my dwarf banners has enough points. I guess I could found a second headquarters. I haven't really considered that till now. Maybe I'll look more into doing that because that would be real interesting for my dwarves. Um, yeah, I might do that. That's a really good idea. Why didn't I think of that till now? All right. And then we have Highborn Elves moving up. So, if you remember, I made an alliance with Kingdom of Equitaine. My goal was to create a defensive line against the Highborn Elves. I don't actually want to meet Highborn Elves in pitched battle because they're going to outnumber me. So what I do is I fortify. All right, this is my logic. I'm fortifying here. When you fortify, that means I get to add at least 300 points. It's either 300 or 400 points get to be added to this army. So I've made it so that if he attacks me here, I'll get an extra 400 points, and this banner, he knows banner 2 is going to support it. And so when you support, you get 400 points from this banner get to go to this battle. So I'm going to have an extra 800 points, which will help me a lot. So now I know, okay, he's not going to attack here. But he's also not going to attack the road because even though this banner is a little bit smaller, it's supported by 2 banners. So that's, again, 800 points get to be added, 400 from this army and 400 from this army. Plus, I have an alliance with Kingdom of Equitaine, which means as long as I stay near the roadway, Kingdom of Equitaine have a special campaign rule, which means they can actually support battles from one space further away. They do not have to be right next to the battle, the space where the battle's taking place. They can be 2 spaces away, and they can still support in the battle. So as long as I stay near the roadways, Kingdom of Equitaine will probably be able to support me as well. So I've actually created a nice system here where it's going to be really hard for Highborn Elves to attack me and win battles. So I tried to make it very difficult for Highborn Elves to make decisions about what they'll do next. And then I have a fourth banner. I have enough spaces, so I have a fourth banner. Highwind Elves only have 2 banners, and I have 4. So I already know that it's going to be hard for him to fight through these 3 banners to get to me. My fourth banner is just holding at the headquarters. I'm gaining 250 points a turn, and it's a banner I've made especially to fight him. So by the time if he does fight through me, I'm going to have a larger banner that's specially made to attack and fight him. So that's my plan for Undyne Dynasty. That's my plan. Empire, of course, I'm just trying to recover spaces. I could march and try to take unraised spaces, but for me, I want to recover them. Plus, fluff-wise, that's what the Empire's gonna do. They're gonna try to recover spaces. Sylvanels, like I said last turn, my plan at this point is actually to go to Warpstone Pit. I don't remember why I moved here. I should have moved here. Oh, did I have a random move? Let me go back to turn 6. Did I have a random move? Is that why I moved there? Sylvanels, random events. Sylvanels, random events. Confusing orders. Yes, your orders are scrambled. After you submit your orders, randomize which banners get which orders. So, here we go. I forgot about that. So, I was actually trying to move. I wanted banner 1 was in the road. I wanted it to move here. I wanted it to move north of the road. My banner 2, I think, was here. And I wanted it to move, I believe, to this space right here, this crossroads. So, but the orders got confused. I tried to cheat the orders, and instead of what happened, um, they moved opposite. So actually, this battle with Tessa Men, I didn't even want that to happen. I wanted to move north. So again, we're fighting battles that we did not want to happen. They're just happening because of confused orders. These are not pre-planned strategy battles. Dwarves at this point, I'm basically, with my 2 banners here, I'm basically going to try to push off and prevent the Undyne Dynasties from taking up more land. That's my strategy up here. While I get enough spaces so I can have a 4th banner, and then I'm going to try to push into this Undyne Dynasties faction. My banner 1 is marching south, also trying to go for Warpstone Pit because I really don't want Vampire Counts or Warriors of the Dark Gods to take it. So that's my preliminary strategy as of turn 6. But as you'll see on turn 7 and turn 8, my strategy changes once again. What I've learned so far, don't have a fixed strategy. You basically can only think one turn ahead, and depending on what your random events happen, what battles happen, you don't even know how the battles, what the result is going to be. And so it's just best to just go with the flow, and it's really hard to plan ahead, but here we are, end of turn 6. A lot of battles happened. Um, so we'll see what happens at Malco. It's real interesting. I'll do a different report on what happened here at the river. I'm not going to probably do anything for this battle here. Basically, all that happened against Tessa Men, because I already fought them at the Grail Chapel, so it's similar armies. The one big thing that happened was his shooting was a lot more effective. He knew how deadly my Wild Hunters were based on how they did against him in the battle at the Grail Chapel, and so he purposefully took all of his shooting and shot my Wild Hunters to pieces. I tried to get them into combat as quickly as they could. They just got decimated. I know the unit itself did not survive, and I'm not even sure if my Force Prince survived at all. So I was still able to win and kill his stuff, but I lost my whole Wild Hunter stuff, which was a devastating blow. So, moral of the story is, Undyne Dynasty's shooting is no joke. Yeah, they only hit on 5+, but they hit on 5+ all the time, and their archers are cheap. And when they're shooting at elves, they will kill elves. So, I needed to take more dryads or something in there because he can't really shoot them, but there we are. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. I always love to see comments, questions. Let me know if you would do anything differently with your moves now that there's a lot more possibilities happening. And thank you so much for watching again. If you play Ninth Age, may the dice, may the 6s be with you. In 9th you always want 6s, and have a great rest of your day.